It's the Center Fantasy Football League podcast.
Welcome to football.
Oh, I'm a football player.
Coach, I'd like to tackle him right now. Not yet.
Reviewing all of the league's scores and highlights.
These boys may have lost, but they in no way disgraced themselves. They disgraced me.
I think I made him shit himself.
And previewing the upcoming matchups and scenarios.
Red 7.
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route.
I don't. What is Hot Route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Fuck you. Fuck you, little walk-on fuck.
Do you think it's possible that your mom won't love you anymore if she sees how bad you're losing in the game? That's why your guys are out partying, mine are running routes.
And now, here's your host,
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
David Harbadkin.
Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for episode 6 of season 3. I'm your host, David Harbadkin, joined by my fellow host and vanquisher of my Madden team, champion of the Madden League, Watson Bowl champion once again, Mr. Gazaletsky. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, everyone.
As you can see, I'm not on my normal location. I'm house sitting currently. I hope the sound is good. I brought a microphone. We'll see how that works. But you're in your normal location, so that's good. All right. I really don't remember anything about this past week, but let's look at it and see if I can recall anything, if it brings anything back. I do know that I won. I kind of remember my game a little bit. It was with Manny, right?
It was.
Okay, well, that's something. Well, let's take a look at that. All right. So, which game shall we start with for last week's games? I mean, him and I did actually have a very close and exciting matchup. Way too close for my comfort, but should we start there since I've mentioned it and I kind of recall it? Let's do that.
Let's do that.
All right, so the 1603ers win the game 110 to 107, 110.64 to 107.10. This came down to the Monday night with Eckler, and he actually, he made it way closer than I would have liked. It came down to that, and really, now I'm starting to remember some stuff. The Sunday night game that horrid game between the Giants and the Bills. Which we were actually all on the phone for. So, okay, now I remember all of this. So Sunday morning, we're talking. We were all on the phone because you were over at Manny's house, and I was on the phone with you and Manny. And I was, things were looking relatively good on Sunday morning for me. I was, things were going well. Mostert was having a great day. Everything was fine. And then I had to leave because I had a couple days before agreed to play hockey. So I went to go play hockey, and whenever I leave, the fantasy gods frown upon that. And when I came back...
Well, does most of the fantasy football world know the backstory?
I don't know. Feel free to inform them. They should, although they might not, but yeah.
Well, Dave Harbadkin, basically, it hadn't even occurred to me what could have been done, but at some point I was driving home and he's like, you know what, Lutsky, you'll be the first person in history to blah, 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 blah. So I started to look at the game more seriously. Harbadkin had a stacked roster of superstars that he just set and forget each and every week.
This was back in 2007. This is the 2017 series.
I got losers like Antonio Gates and Joe Flacco because I researched their matchup for the week. So I cobbled together a bunch of losers, and Harbadkin was beating the crap out of me, and he decided to do a victory Thai food run.
It was Mexican. I went for Baja Fresh.
Wherever he went. He's like, I'm beating the crap out of this guy. I've got this championship in the bag. The second he signed off to go get food, Sterling Shepard and a bunch of losers, this fantasy god said, oh, yeah, you want to go get food? Okay. The second he left, everything started to turn around. And when he came back, the score was like, actually, I took the lead that evening on a nothing catch at the end of a Detroit game to some loser, and he's like, what the hell happened here? So
I don't think you took the lead. I think that you made it way closer than it should have been.
Right.
And then Keelan Cole, I think, actually, who I benched in favor of Gillisley, just to because you had been Gil's lead earlier in the season, so I put him in just to screw you over. That cost me the difference or whatever. But anyway, it was but then it was the Monday with the Steelers, and then
right.
But
the story is when you're well up, you really going to get food and whatnot, going to play hockey and doing the fantasy gods really frown upon that.
Yeah, they want you to watch.
You want to win. You have to take the game seriously from start to finish.
Right. The problem was that I was taking the game seriously from start to finish. I had all of my. In fact, I had sent before I had left to go play hockey. I had told the captain of my hockey team, I'd sent him a picture of I had the 4 games on the screen. I had my iPad on the bed because I was watching the local game, and then I had my phone watching the other local game. And I took a picture of that with the other phone. There was like 7 screens of football, and I'm like, this is what I'm leaving to go play this stupid hockey game. You better be grateful. And I went to go play the hockey game. We ended up losing anyway. And when I got back, I was like, it wasn't as it was suddenly things were not looking as good. And I didn't even notice this, but you pointed out that McCaffrey had the Q by his name. Mm-hmm. So it just came off the rails when that happened. And then what seemed to be a sure thing, and it was even worse. I mean, because I had finished the game right about at the end of the third quarter of the Tampa Bay Detroit game. And I'm watching Amon's, Mumra constantly he's getting 30 points in this game. Even in the last quarter, he was still getting receptions. And I had 3 guys. I had Godwin, Evans, and Baker in it, and they were horrid. I mean, they salvaged some garbage time points, which ended up being enough, but it was essentially, it went from a huge lead, then on the back of of Mumra in that one game. It became a way closer game to the point that I think was it tied at that point. I think Manny had like a 4-point lead, if I'm correct, or something like that, or maybe a 1-point lead. And we both had one player to go. He had Gabe Davis, who would, who I had made fun of him for earlier in the trade, with the trade. And then he had been lighting it up all season. So I'm like, oh, great. Here it goes again. Gabe Davis is going to burn me again and whatever. But going against Ekeler, who I thought, okay, he's coming back. He's going to have he's going to have a great game, or at least a decent game. And so thankfully, as we're watching that Sunday night game, Gabe Davis does nothing. I mean, that whole Bills team did nothing, and you kept watching because you needed, I don't remember what did you need.
I needed Kimmel's guy James Cook to do nothing,
right?
Which he did,
and we'll get to that shortly. But so yeah,
and Gabe Davis also lost a fumble, which worked to your advantage,
right? And which was early in the game because and then they stopped going to him, even to the extent that they stopped going to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So once that game ended, it was like I think I had like a 5-point lead or something like that, or excuse me, he had a 5-point lead or something like that.
7-point lead, and then pre-game, Austin Ekeler gets into a brawl where his helmet gets knocked off.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, is he going to be like?
Imagine if he got ejected before the game.
Right. I started thinking that. I'm like, oh my god, like is that going to happen? And then I'd have to put in Josh Schmelly or something like. But it happened like 15 minutes before the game. I wouldn't even have time to do anything. I was like, I think I would have lost my mind if I lost another Monday night game to Friedman, who every one of our matches, I think has come down to Monday night. And then this season where I constantly had Monday night shenanigans. If that was the shenanigans that happened, I think I would have lost my mind. But thankfully, Ekeler got just enough. But I had to watch the whole game. In fact, we were supposed to play hockey that night, but we couldn't because the game never got to enough of a lead where I ever felt comfortable. But yeah, we held on.
I don't know if this just applies to Dave Harbacken in general, but never leave anything to go do anything when you're trying to win in fantasy football.
Look, I know it applies to me. To the extent that it applies to other people, I don't know. I think that they live there. I don't know. we should have asked our guests when they're on. Next guest we'll have on, we can ask them. But like like Sunday, I don't do anything. I focus on football until my game is actually over. And unfortunately, I'm not. I don't watch games where my team's not involved. But Sunday is all football for me, and I just don't. I don't walk away until I know it's secure, because I don't know. I don't know. I'm a very, superstitious, religious within the context of sports guy. I mean, going back to the Tetris gods. I mean, my religion is video game and fantasy gods, but the Tetris gods, the Madden gods, the whatever, like all of these, and clearly I mean, the I want it all and I want it now curse is remains
there all these years later.
It remains, though. Still haven't. I mean,
the whole thing about you is there's one sheriff that always rears his ugly head every time you make it to. And we won't go too deep into this, but it appears to be the case. Decade after decade after decade.
Every time I make it to the finals.
This is going back, 25 years now?
Yeah, probably. I mean, 90s. It was definitely in the 90s. It was the second season of Madden that the curse happened. So I'd had the successful first season in Madden. I mean, so I didn't have a successful first season. Let me just say this: I had a bad first season, but it ended well, like on a streak. But then we Wang Chung. You want to talk about Madden curses? That was the Wang Chung game, where it was the playoff game against LeVar, and all I had to do was kick a simple field goal, and I think it was from the 30-yard line or something like that. And Chung, because I was San Francisco, held. So, all right, it's a 40-yard field goal. I kick it again. He makes it again. Another holding call. It goes back down to the 50. And now we're like a 50-yard field goal. And now we miss on the third one. So it was Chung again who went all held. And then because of that, we ended up losing the game by like a point, whatever. And so
the following season, Dave Harbacken makes the dramatic proclamation, "I'm going to win it all."
And we played the Queen.
And he ends up 1-15.
Right, we played the Queen song. I want it all.
But more importantly, that curse has stayed with him for 3 decades.
Yes, we went 1-15, and we have not won anything since. I mean,
every single time you win the championship, it's the same team he's facing. It's the Hagglers.
Yes,
every single time.
We did. I mean, look, we did lose. We did lose to Eugene also. In baseball, but I think every other championship against you.
I mean, is Sergei Fedorov coming out of the penalty box? That counts. Or BHL way back when.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're talking a streak that goes back.
Well, that's not true though. I have lost to other people, but the main person who has beaten me has been you. Who's been sitting there. I also lost to Odwin in the second fantasy football championship.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did I lose to in the fantasy? I lost to Odwin. I lost to you. Wasn't there another? Did I make? How many did I make? Or did I?
And you won one. So I think, yeah, that's true.
I've only made, okay. It was the Whalers that made 4 and lost 4. And then, and then Eugene in baseball. So there's been others, but I just, it's but that's kind of why when I see like, the screen flutter on the extra point that shouldn't, whatever. It's these are all the kinds of things that that happen to a team.
Like your quarterback throws inexplicable passes to my players. Like, just where was that pass?
I don't know, but these are the kinds of things that happen to a Bartman like cursed team, and it's one of those things where something will break it at some point, but you never know what it'll be, and it will be something that you don't realize until afterwards. Like, so I know there's a lot of Ranger fans that watch this. I mean, they had to deal with their curse, which was, I believe, if I'm correct, it's something to do with burning the lease in the Stanley Cup, the lease to Madison Square Garden in the Stanley Cup or something, by Lester Patrick. And then the first year that they had, gotten rid of the Patrick division, or the first year after they had gotten rid of the Patrick division and in 94, they end up winning the cup. And you could look back and there's all these like little interesting, I think with the Red Sox, I forgot. I mean, I know it had something to do with the 86 years and then the 86 Mets game, whatever. It will happen when it happens. You just learn to live with it. But I'm glad it was a good game, at least. I thought I was going to be. I didn't have gotten off on a tangent, but it was a very good game. I'm glad it was entertaining, and
At the risk of running another 4-hour podcast, let's move on to our second.
Let's move on. But anyway, yes. So in this game, Eckler holds on. We win again.
Both teams are 4-2, and now we trail only the Tyreek Hill like Dr. Hockey, who scored 1,000 points in 6 weeks.
Right, exactly. We'll get on to that. But we started to allude to your game, so let's get into that. So the Hackettstown Hagglers have a very winning week, winning in both fantasy and in Madden, 114.62 to 105.76. This is quite an exciting game against a strong Tillett team that had only lost one game before this. So why don't you go into this game?
Well, you put 4 players in the basket. If you could scroll down with it, everybody played in London. That's a risky, dicey move, which usually backfires on most managers. And, of course, I watched Manny's moving to Rhode Island to be with his burner team. They live in the same state now. Actually, he's going to be staying there for the first couple of months while he gets his own place. So now he and his burner team are going to be operating out of the same facility, which should be shenanigan-ridden like you wouldn't believe. But I watched the game from Manny's. It started at 9 o'clock Eastern, our time. And, the kicker, the defense, Hopkins, who didn't do anything, and then the king, Derrick Henry, who finally delivered. It was pretty nerve-wracking. We got decent numbers out of that. KJ Osborne is no what's his name? Justin Jefferson. We learned that very quickly. So Tillett actually had Justin Jefferson. So that's why I was surprised he didn't do any of the bidding for his replacement, but it's pretty smart because he only got 8 points and he basically sucks. Kittle inexplicably got 1 point after, I don't know, Debo went down, and I mean, he didn't do shit. He gets 27 points on 3 catches, which is like your dream game, but then the next game he gets 1 point. So that was horrible. Kamara is actually turning out to be quite the weep-on. And, of course, Metcalf didn't do anything. And Goff put up his, decent numbers. And then on Kimmel's side, I mean, this Houston team with Stroud is pretty decent.
Yeah, definitely.
So he got 18. Pittman's always been a good play for him, getting 19. Higgins didn't deliver. I mean, if he had Justin Jefferson in there, I think he wins this game. Things were cruising along until Williams decided to blow it up in the Arizona game, getting 21.8. That was quite unfortunate. Laporta didn't. Well, he was all right, but it all came down to Cook. In the Sunday night game, he trailed by 16. And, of course, I mean, the Giants played a masterful game of milking the clock. And, I mean, Cook 71 rushing yards, and they kept taking him out of the game and putting in Latavius Murray. Thank you, Giants. So it was inexplicable. It got too close for comfort, but, luckily it was a 9-point win.
It's a 9-point win. I mean, basically, had they handed off a touchdown to Cook in that game, this could have looked very different.
Absolutely, yep.
I mean, it was it was the kind of thing where you had to where that's the game that's going to decide it. So
you had to sweat it out, and of course, like I've always said, 2-4 is a lot different than 3-3 in the standings.
This is one of the better starts for the Hagglers, and because you are like if not 1-5. So.
1-5. We're usually where the fan is right now.
I know 500 for the Hagglers this late in the 6 weeks in. Wow, that's amazing.
That's sad, but that's amazing. But yes.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't look at the bench players on the other one, but I don't think there was any in this one really. I mean, had he played Brian Robinson, I guess that would have won it. But I mean,
how you gonna? Yeah, I know. Right.
I mean, these are not decisions that are like.
No, the key element in this is Justin Jefferson going on IR.
Yeah, I mean that's really where he suffered, and it's tough to replace that.
And even still, he almost won. It was just a 9-point game.
Yeah, exactly. So good showing.
Yeah.
Especially considering the injury, but And
Yeah, I'll take 3-3 at this point. For the Hagglers, that's gold.
Yeah, and by the way, 4-2 is nothing to sneeze at either. So
No, he's still in third place.
or whatever it is. We'll look at that.
I mean, second place, but it's all points. Right?
I don't know. We'll look at that later. Anyway, let's move it along. Where shall we go next? Are we just going to go down? Well, we can't. I don't know. Is the fan even paying attention anymore? I don't think. I mean, he's been quiet. I mean, this was brought out in the.
You want to risk it? Do you want to just go right to his game and see if he's paying attention?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we can give.
Are you poking the bear?
Can we give him the respect of even? I mean, although that is the last play. That was the battle for the basement, and we could leave that.
Well, I like Whalers' comment during the week. He's like, he's the key player at the law firm. Right, but when he's winning, he still manages to get out there and trash talk and be a loudmouth, despite his Herculean schedule. But when he's losing, you don't hear a peep out.
He's a mouse. I know. Yeah. We have the raccoons and the mice. Dave's secret mouse. I don't know.
Let's tempt fate. Let's go with it.
All right, let's go with it. The battle for the basement. All right, so you have the Zamunda Lions facing off against the Dave's Secret Crush. 122.66 to 114.12 in favor of Zamunda, who moved to 2-4, leaving the Crush down in the basement. Here's the thing. This game was actually, so it seemed as if, I mean, like, you look at these numbers, they're not bad. I mean, there's a lot of double digits I see here, especially for the Crush. 19 for Jackson, 17 for Wilson, 17 for Flowers, 11 for Madison, 18 for Stevenson, which that's the kind of game he hasn't had all season. 10 for Andrews, 11.8. He was very heavy on that London game as well. -1 for the kicker, once again, to bite him. But with all that being said, it seemed like there was, Nick had a bunch of opportunities to just move past him, and it just took a lot. I mean, like, Allen could have moved past him with a decent game on Sunday night. He didn't. I mean, Barkley in that Sunday night game really could have moved him ahead. I mean, because he was projected to overtake Eugene well before the Monday night, but he once again got dragged into Monday night. He needed a Pollard performance to get him over the hump, which he did. But it ended up being only an 8-point victory there. But another. He had to sweat that out Monday night. So he moves to 2-4. I mean, you say that the difference between 2-4 and 3-3 is huge. I mean, the difference between 1-5 and 2-4 is more immense. Like, so
I mean, Eugene's approaching the Mendoza. He's approaching being knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I think seven used to be the old standard. I think now you have a cushion of 8.
Yeah, I think 8 because of the extra week. But
he's starting to get too close for comfort.
I mean, look, he's not eliminated yet. In fact, the Hagglers championship season in this, I believe you were 1-5. You started out 1-5.
Yep, I believe so as well.
And then you went on the winning streak that got you in this. So it's not like he's eliminated. But the challenge is I mean, I know that when he gets himself motivated, he becomes he can be a lunatic about some of this stuff, but in a competitive way. I don't mean that in his normal way. But I don't know. I just seems like the fire's not there for him this year. I mean, look, he's still making some moves. We'll go over those after we have our break, but I don't know. It just seems like the fire's not there. But
who's missing out of this lineup is the $109 million man Ford. I don't see him anywhere.
Yeah, where is Ford? He's on the bench with 11 points. I mean, look, he ended up playing the correct thing. I mean, Ramondre ends up getting 18 points. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But I have also said many times. How many times have I said this? That if he doesn't make a trade at Z-Mart, this is what happens to his team. The other time that he didn't make any trades that year, the year that Nick won was the other year that he was in last place. I mean, I think that his real skill is being able to maneuver Shafto trades. That's really what what takes
he better get Shafto trading because, like I said,
I know,
he's got about 3 more losses to play with.
I know I mean, look, Barkley's back. Pollard, he should start shopping at the shelves there. Stocking up the shelves with some Pollard and Barkley there or something. Because otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if we get any reaction. If he's even watching anymore, I don't know. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad, I mean,
his caseload is obviously his desk is full.
Yeah,
he's one of the top 40 under 40.
He's not under 40. Is he? I don't think any of us are. I mean, Manny's under 40. Is Manny still under 30?
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I think he just had his 30th.
Oh, well then
he's under 50 at least. I mean, but 40.
I think he's one of the top 50 under 50.
He's one of the top 40 under 50, or one of the whatever he is. I don't know. Anyway, he's one of the top 12 in this league. Is all I could say.
He's one of the bottom 12.
Exactly. He's 12. All right. 12. Moving on. Let's just go down the line. Lightning rods against Gronky Kong. I don't know what's been happening in Gronky Kong this year. He's the 2-4.
Well, he had another baby, so his attention is focused on that.
Also, I found out, was it last pod or just in the conversation with Manny that there's only one TV in the house? Like, what is this? Back to the Future? Like in the 1955 version? One TV in the house? What are you doing?
Uh-huh.
How does anyone?
I think the last 3 quarterbacks he started have all been knocked out of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to hurt you. So Lightning Rods win this game 131.98 to 99.92. But yes, Justin Fields getting knocked out hurts him. Devontae Adams only getting 4.9 right there. I mean, I could tell you this is a huge difference in the game. CeeDee Lamb had a good Monday night with 18.7 points. Montgomery also got knocked out of the game. Is that what happened there?
Every other person, like, great game, stinker. Great game, stinker, all the way down the list.
Yeah, Pacheco with a good game, 15.8, 5.4 from Conklin, 27 from Kupp. Yeah, it's every other player. And then, a decent job on the field goal kicker and the defense for the Lightning Rods. Herbert does well. Olave 16 points. DJ Moore still ended up with 10. I mean, even with Fields going out, 17 for Kenneth Walker, 11 for Jonathan Taylor. I wonder how he's going to be going forward. I mean, he seems to be, it's a good sign early on. Kyle Pitts making an appearance back again. Look at this, 14.3 points, 21.5 from Keenan Allen. And then I mean, the bench stuff, Prescott, I mean, he kind of up. I mean, it's about the same, 15 from Cooks. But yeah, no, overall good win. And then, yeah, Gronky is just suffering from some injuries. Definitely didn't leave anything on the bench there because, yeah. I don't know. Tough part of the season, but I mean, look, 2-4.
Nothing to really panic about, but
I think if I'm correct, didn't he? I think he had like a lull last season and then went on a slight run towards the end also. So, I mean, it's still relatively early. I think, so what is this, week 7 that's coming up? It'll be the halfway point. So there's still a lot of football to be played, but this is when you start to get, you have to, when you're at this point, you do have to start to get some wins, but it's other than the 1-5 or the 1-5 team, I don't think the desperation button has to totally set in yet, but these are tough losses to take. Anything else?
No, when your quarterback gets knocked out over and over again, I mean, that's difficult.
Yeah.
You can't. Richardson and now Field.
I mean, anytime any of your good players get knocked out mid-game, I mean, that's just going to hurt you. I mean, because you're expecting the points from them. You've played them. There's nothing you could do at that point. I mean, anything else, it's fine. I mean, I know that I don't think that Yahoo has the capability, but I know that there are some leagues somewhere that I read sometime, and my thing against rule changes, and I certainly don't want anything for this year, but if it's possible, I mean, maybe it's something that we could explore, because they had something where like if a player gets injured, that there's like a reserve player that can fill in the spot or something, so you don't get screwed up. I don't remember how it worked or anything, but like maybe that's something we could look through in the future, or you just live with it like you do here. But I tend to not. It would certainly change Manny's calculation of rooting for injuries. I'll tell you that. If that happened, but whatever. Something that we could either just ignore or explore or whatever. But yeah, tough break.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving down the line. Nick and Jamie, getting their ass pummeled. What is dominate? We're back to what it's from the Yahoo.
It's a common theme with Dr. Hockey. He's been,
I mean, this team. I mean, he's been quite on fire. I mean, like Nick and Jamie doesn't have a bad game, 114.18, but 150, which is actually, by the way, here's the ironic thing. So one of the lesser scores that he's had lately, but also because A-Chain got knocked out. What did I say last week? Oh, it'll just knock him down to 150. And what does he get? 150.54. So really, he didn't even need it. And so, yeah, Mahomes gets 19.34. He's actually not been that great this season, but, whatever. Tyreek Hill gets 28.3, 24 from Brown, 11.3 from Jacobs, 16 from Hubbard, though, who ends up replacing A-Chain. And Kmet actually is the one that doesn't do that well on his team, 2.9. But Thielen, who's been just unbelievable this season. Let's
take a look at his numbers, because this guy has been absurd.
Yeah, I know. Thielen. So first game he gets 3.2. Then after that, 20, 31, 15, 27, 28.
28. Let's look at his history. What was he picked up by Dr. Hockey for? $1? $4. Yeah. This guy is the Jalen Hurts of this year.
Yeah, he is. He's very much. He's been.
That's what we were all looking for, and Hockey found him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, just an unbelievable performance for him all season long. His kicker's been good too, by the way. Folk with 10 points and 14 for the Kansas City defense. For Nick and Jamie, I mean, they did play their entire lineup, which is good for once. 28 for Tua, throwing to Tyreek Hill, and then Jamar Chase at 14. But other than that, nothing much to speak of. 7.4 for Brown, 3.9 from Chardonnay. Gibson, the other running back on Washington, only gets 8.21 for Kelsey, so that's good. But Tony 9.4, 0 from his kicker, and 21. I mean, he keeps getting defensive juggernaut point. I mean, didn't he have Dallas also? I don't know. Great performance from the defense, but you figure 21. I mean, this is like a sub 100 game without the defense. But he's been really good on picking the defenses, which when we talked with Kimmel in that podcast, I mean, that's one of the things that I said. Like, if you can, that's really the element, picking a good defense or kicker or whatever else. I mean, that's really, matchup based, and it's one of the skills that it's the element of daily fantasy and an otherwise, it's part of the mix. And I think while it didn't help this game because you're playing Dr. Hockey, it's just a juggernaut at this point. He's definitely good at that. Anything else in this game? Are you frozen?
Mahomes hasn't really put up the 50 burgers either.
No, I mean, what is he? So he had 31 the first game, and that was against Chicago.
I mean, Jared Goff has put up better numbers.
He has. I mean, 31, and then against Chicago. But then other than that, 15, 23, and 19. I mean, it's not. I don't know. He's got a good matchup this upcoming week, but I don't know. But I think a lot of that is a product of the receivers. I mean, if you remember, by the way, the first game he had those numbers, but his receivers were dropping everything. He did get Hardman and in the trade, and Rashid Rice, who I actually was going back and forth with Gronk Kong in the chat. He has some, but I don't know. I haven't watched many Kansas City games, so I don't know. Anything else on this?
No, typical hockey beatdown.
All right. And then moving on to the last game of the week. Clever name pending. Oh, this one caused some controversy in the chat group. As the Whalers goes down to clever name pending and did not did not take that well, and then what he sent to me. I don't know. I really didn't pay attention to this, and I really don't get into the bickering back and forth because I have to deal with it in the games and the commissioner of. But this,
I must have missed 60 minutes. I didn't see any of that. What was it?
So Whalers sent out a raccoon meme or something, which is actually funny. And by the way, I mean, my feeling is if you send a meme, the only proper response is, either like laughter or a return meme. It's not. He sent a meme something about like a raccoon like jumping off a windshield and killing itself. Response to losing to Cliff it was actually funny. Like I mean, could you go back? You should go to the chat. It was pretty funny. I thought it was. And then where is it? Can I find it? I hate to take sides in this. It's like taking sides in any conflict. Oh my god, I'm not. And to be honest with you, I'm not taking any sides because I don't care.
You that sent the raccoon going down the drain.
Yeah, I did send that later. But then he said something about like, because I hadn't even really seen what I mean, I just really did not pay much attention, but I did see something. But I did see what he said, and I thought it was really funny. I mean, so there's been a lot of funny. I'm looking at this. There's a lot of funny memes this week. So this was me after losing to Bowtie. Can we see it like here on the thing?
I mean, that's pretty funny.
I know it's funny. So, but then, oh man,
and your raccoon going down the storm drain. That's pretty funny too.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been some good ones. But he said, I feel like this is. I also, yeah. Did you ever see that skit on Key and Peele where they're where they're having the text exchange where they're like Peele is like overreacting like like to everything that he says and like I forget which one's Key and which one's Peele but the other one is sitting on the couch and he's just like, oh, that's so funny, and the other one's like, oh yeah, who's the AA one? Is that Key?
AA Ron?
Yeah, but I'm saying the whole thing, it's really funny because it's just like this misinterpretation of the text back and forth. And I mean, maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't care about like. I just think my opinion is you send a meme, respond with a funny meme, or don't. I certainly don't take.
Wait, so what? He's Bowtie's upset because you added me.
Something about that.
What happens when you add somebody? What does that mean?
Like you call them out, like they get the notification, especially and for him because he doesn't get the notifications of the
Didn't he ask to be added a couple of people? He doesn't see the content unless you add him.
Yeah, he won't see it unless you add him.
So I'm missing the problem here. What is going on?
That he said it to him. This is what I don't understand about, and I can't even believe that we have to waste time on this. I don't want to waste time on this. You added me. Take a long. This is so stupid. This is a fight that I don't need to get in the middle of. I think it's a funny meme. Send a funny meme back. There's plenty of them. I certainly don't take any trash talking in the fantasy league any bit seriously. I think it's and especially in meme form. I encourage people to do it. It's funny.
Oh my god, the raccoon jumping in front of the car. That's got to be one of the all-time funniest.
It's hilarious. That's what I'm saying. It's absolutely hilarious. Like why are you taking such offense over this? It's just funny.
Oh my god, that's pretty funny.
But I think it's whatever.
And Whalers did it to himself.
I know it's self-deprecating, and he lost. I think he's taking it in good humor. Like I think this is a blown up controversy out of nothing, and I think it's whatever.
Wow.
But I think it's like the the misinterpreted texts or something, like where I don't know, whatever. And look,
for everybody who missed that, go back into the chat and watch the raccoon jumping off the hood.
So funny. And I mean, and frankly, it could have happened to any, him losing to any team in the league. And look, but I will say to Clever Name Penny's credit, and we could, I don't think we've even gotten into this game yet, but I mean, he's on a 3-game winning streak. So, I mean, don't take it away. Like we kind of were making fun of him too on this program before that.
With the Daniel Jones stuff. Yeah, he finally got rid of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, with his Daniel Jones stuff. Well, even when he ended up beating me like out of nowhere, and he hasn't lost since. So I mean, like, credit to him. He's actually been a good team. I don't know. I think look, I mean, I think in this league you make fun of teams until they make you not be able to make fun of them, and whatever. I mean, but yeah, he's been good lately. So looking at the game, so Hurts gets 21.9 points. Wilson only got 8.9. I mean, he continues with his quarterback woes. I mean, you just can't win. I mean, you had Daniel Jones, you had Garoppolo. Now he's going to Wilson. I mean, my God, the quarterback house, which is ironic because last year his team had Patrick Mahomes, who was getting all those points, but nobody else in the team was. Now he's getting points from other players, but he can't get anything from his quarterback. So it's really ironic there. Ridley, only 6.6 points, 1.1 from Debo, 9.2 from Mixon. Whereas Diggs, he ends up getting 20, 11.6 from Ayuk, and 20.3 from Breece Hall. But then, so it kind of reverses there. Then when you get to the running back area, 2.5 from Akers and 4.2 for Ertz. Whereas for Whalers, he gets 23.3 from Etienne, and 11.1 from Ingram. And then Nakua,
he's really cooled off. Since Cooper Kupp came back, he's a non-factor.
Yeah, exactly. And then Smith gets 9.4, but 18.2 from Butker and 10 for the Los Angeles Rams defense, 7 for the Buffalo defense. And Moody, there were some memes about that too. Nothing as funny as but 1.5 as he was kicking in a windstorm during that game. But yeah, a 102 to 91 victory. Are there any? I mean, Drake London, I guess, could have. Yeah, I mean, he had some points. 9.2 from Goddard. He actually got less than Ingram.
Well, Moss has been he's been really coming on, but I think that the Jonathan Taylor return has Whalers a little skittish about. I think he's getting the points.
Right. That would have spooked me too. I don't really blame him there. I mean, he had Derek Carr on the bench with 18.32. So I mean, All right. That's the last game. Yeah, wow. That's the last game for last week. All right. I guess it's break time, but yeah, nothing else for that. We'll see you at the other end of the break. Be right back right after this. All right, welcome back to the show. It's time to go over the other things that we go over. Is there any let's see, was there any kind of trade news or anything else like that happened this week? Let's see. The 18th. So there's 2. Jonnu Smith for a whooping $5 over the $4 bid.
I think pretty much everybody's out of money at this point.
Yeah, and Jason Myers, the kicker, $50 over to Gronk.
Anybody who likes to just throw it around is out of money. And all that's left is the people who don't spend any money.
Yeah, so Primetime is literally out of money, $0. I would have 8.
We're about to join him.
Yeah, I know there's $8, but I mean, there's still some money to go around. The 1603ers have 89, 144 for Tillett, 75 for the Finest. Lightning Rods not only has not spent $1, but still has leftover from the auction, $210. 164 for the Whalers, 186 for Clever Name Pending, 200 for Nick and Jamie. Gronky Kong has 154, 170 for Zamunda, and 68 for Dave's Secret Crush. So there's still some money to go around. It's just, I don't think this was there was just nothing that was really of note this week. I don't think. I mean, I guess Mason nobody picked up. He wasn't even like multiple bidded on. I would have thought. I'm surprised. Jordan Mason picked up for $25, but it was uncontested. By Dave's Secret Crush. So yeah, so it's
that's interesting. So nobody wants themselves a McCaffrey.
He's not a McCaffrey. McCaffrey's still fine. I mean, he might even play this week. I don't know. Although the problem is that it's a Monday night game, and whether or not he's going to play or not.
That puts Whalers, as we look at this week's matchup, in a very interesting situation because he's got Debo. Questionable. If Debo's out, he's screwed.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing with McCaffrey. When we look at that match, we can look at it too. And I actually have decisions to make on that. Zach Evans, but getting back to this. So Zach Evans, primetime, ends up spending his last bit of money, his $33 on Zach Evans. Yeah, I know who that is actually. Because Kyron Williams went down. But I think there's 4 running backs that are there because they
brought back Darrell Henderson and they have some other running back too. They have
I saw it in the thing. I don't even remember who. Yeah, I mean, whatever. He wants to spend the money. More, whatever, to him. I mean, probably, I'm sure somebody. Did nobody else pick him up? Let's see. Hal McManus gets picked up by Tilla Trey. Oh, Tilla Trey spent $7 to pick up the kicker that I dropped earlier in the season to go against me now. I'm probably going to lose to him. Kareem Hunt gets picked up for $7 on waivers,
and then thrown in the garbage right afterwards.
Right, exactly. Jonnu Smith for $5. Washington $5. A lot of kickers. We had the Rashid Rice picked up by me, but then ended up getting dropped. Wandale gets picked up by Dr. Hockey.
Yeah, you can have him. He sucks.
Yeah. So I don't know, a bunch of Fournette. What's going on here? Why has he been picked up?
He hasn't been signed to anybody, but he's been at a few training camps.
Interesting.
And according to LeonardFournette.com, he's in phenomenal shape.
Exactly. It's like Goddard.
That's why nobody's picked him up.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look at the standings. So right now we have one 5-1 team, and that is Dr. Hockey, who not only has the highest record. I mean, that point total 917.
Some teams won't even get that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's even in the 800s. He's in the 900s. Literally nobody else is in the 800s. The next closest team is the 1603s with 759. Wow. So, I mean, phenomenal season for him so far. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then in the 4-2 bracket, there are 3 teams. The 1603ers, Tillett Trey, who are facing off against each other this week, and then Hackettstown's Finest. Then in the 3-3 bracket, which is a much larger bracket, I have the Lightning Rods leading in points there, followed by the Detroit Whalers, the Hackettstown Hagglers, falling behind there, and then Clever Name Pending, rounding out the 3-3 bracket, and then 3 2-4 teams, Nick and Jamie, Gronky Kong, and Zamunda, and then the 1-5 team, Dave's Secret Crush.
So you get to the dumpster at 2-4, and then you get to the sewer at 1-5. The grime underneath the dumpster.
Yeah, so mirroring Dr. Hockey season this year and record. So, all right, let's get into some of next week's games. Where shall we go? We could start with Tillett versus me. This is a pretty exciting matchup, and a pretty important one. So the original projection, so this is going to be probably for second place, I would think, though Manny could have a say in that. Anyway, the original projection was 115.17 to 104.22. He remains at 104.22, but we have dropped a couple points because while Michael Thomas outperformed his projection, the New Orleans defense underperformed, but we're about whatever. So yeah, this is I didn't even I haven't known what to do. I have very bad matchups this week. I have McCaffrey pending on Monday night, as we were just talking about. So I don't know. Now I do have his backup in Elijah Mitchell. I don't know what to do here. I thought about not even playing Michael Thomas. I didn't even realize that I had played him until I got the notification that he scored. So I was like, all right, good that I did play him, but he still only gets 13 points even with a touchdown. But I don't know. So he's got Deshaun Watson right now playing. He's got a ton of buys too, and he's got the Jefferson injury as well. Stroud is out. So he's going with Watson. Pittman versus Cleveland. So Cleveland has a good defense. Sutton versus Green Bay. I don't know. His matchups don't look that fantastic either. Brian Robinson, Cook against New England, LaPorta at Baltimore, Brian Robinson against the Giants. And then he's got San Francisco defense on the Monday night. So this game is probably going to come down to the Monday night no matter what. And then we're playing Geno versus Arizona. We're going with McLaurin at the Giants. Mostert at Philadelphia. I don't know. Philadelphia's got a decent run defense. Eckler, hopefully he has a better performance than he did last week as he plays Kansas City, which is a tough team. So I don't know there. Hawkinson has the tough matchup on Monday night, which he'll be playing there as well. Right now, we've got Godwin versus Atlanta. I don't know. It looks like Baker's going to play. Mike Evans, Godwin has actually been the better of the two of the last few weeks. So he started out slower, but then 19-13. I don't know. This is a tough call there. And then you have the McCaffrey problem. Right now, his status is didn't practice Friday. Missing a second day practice. It's risky to keep him in there. And then, we do have Elijah Mitchell, but is he going to perform? Is it going to be Jordan Mason? I don't know. So it's kind of why I'm just leaning towards let's just stay out of that mess. I don't want to be stuck on a Monday night having to make a decision. Well, it's not even a decision. We will have somebody put in there at least, either way. But I don't want a situation where maybe McCaffrey goes out and barely plays, or Mitchell goes out and then Mason is the one that it's too much in flux over there. I would love to play McCaffrey, and it's the kind of thing where if it was Sunday and he was suiting up, you play him anyway. It doesn't matter. But because it's a Monday night game, I think that makes me have to hold him out, and that's what we're going to do. And we're just going to play Godwin and hope that hope to Godwin that we do well. But I think that this is a really important game for the two of our teams, but we both are kind of facing, either buys or injuries, and we're trying to cobble together a lineup against each other. But I don't know. And we have tough matchups. This is going to be a dogfight. And it's going to go, other games this season, it's going to go down to Monday night. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't even know who to pick. Both teams have the firepower to win.
Yeah, if we had our full arsenals, you put Justin Jefferson out for him, and then you have put McCaffrey out for me, would be on that Monday night. Would have been really exciting. That would have been good. Could you imagine it comes down to a Monday night game, and then you have McCaffrey going against Justin Jefferson? That's a great matchup. That's something that both of you want to watch, right? But we both kind of are missing that on Monday night. So I don't know. And then you have Hawkinson on my. This could have been a really fun, nerve-wracking, obviously for me, but fun matchup to watch between the two of us. It's still fun, but it's not what either one of us would have wanted or expected. So I don't know. I always pick my opponent, so I'm going to pick Kimmel, but it's a tough call.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends. If Watson doesn't play, he has to go get a quarterback from the dumpster because he doesn't have another quarterback on his roster, I don't think.
Well, he's got
So,
Stroud, but he's on the bye, so
yeah.
I mean, he has Aaron Rodgers, but he's not playing this week either. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, but if Watson does play, he's playing would be against Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is not a very good team.
Tooper, no, not Tooper, but yeah, Pittman against Cleveland. That's a tough matchup. I don't know. There's a lot of pieces missing here.
For both.
I like the 1603ers missing pieces better than Tillett's though.
You like this puzzle of whatever? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really
I'll take 1603ers in this one.
Sure. Like I said, I'm picking Tillett because I always pick my opponent, and that's all I can say about that. All right, moving on to the next game. Where shall we go after this?
Let's go right down the line. Finest lightning rods.
Finest lightning rod. So whoever loses the game between Tillett and the 1603ers, this game, this could have huge ramifications, as Manny could move back up into 2 or 3 depending, and then you have lightning rods who also can make a move and drag Manny down with him. So you have in this one we have Purdy going against Herbert. Purdy playing on that Monday night game. We'll see how he does. I mean, because he's also I think you either off air or on air, you mentioned how he's missing Debo as well. And we'll see how he does. I mean, so what did he do after? So last week he had 9.7 points after it was done. I mean, and that's after a string of decent games before that. So I don't know. I mean, Mumra going against Baltimore, that's not as good. You got Olave, he only got 12 so far. DJ Moore without Justin Fields. You got Gabe Davis going against New England. Now that should be a good matchup. One would think, but I don't know. Swift versus Miami and Kenneth Walker versus Arizona. You got Jaylen Warren. Has he done anything? What's going on here? I literally don't know anything about this guy. All right. 11, 10. I don't know. Okay. Going against Jonathan Taylor. Now is Taylor on the option? Because if Jonathan Taylor is back and ready to be back, and you look at the lightning rods, I mean, he's got Walker and Taylor. That's a decent, backfield. What's the situation with the Justin Fields injury? How long is he?
Broken thumb. He's out for at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, because he had a good rapport with Moore. I don't know. So, I mean, but he's got Herbert. He's still got Allen going down there. I mean, they've got a tough matchup this week, though, against Kansas City. Pitts has been coming on lately. So, 15-14 last week. I mean, Musgrave.
Has he even done anything?
No, he's been in the grave. 9-4-1. I mean, he's had 2 weeks where he's done something, so I don't know, whatever. And Jacoby Myers, he's had some decent games and some clunkers, so we'll see. He's going up against Chicago, so I understand why Manny would play him there. This is a tough one. So current projection. So original projection 103.83 to 114.46. The current, excuse me, it was 115.25. The current projection is 114.46. So slightly under what Olave was expected to get, but only a point. I don't know. He's still favored at this point. I don't know. Some of his play, having 2 players, having Herbert and Allen going against Kansas City. That's a tough beat, but you also
Taylor against Cleveland is tough. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true too. But I don't know on this one. I mean, I think the personnel looks better on the lightning rods, but I think maybe the matchups might give the edge to the finest in this one. Maybe, I don't know.
I know the commissioner's never here to to talk about
to
it.
weigh in or talk about anything that he's done. You know, like I don't know where. So,
I'm going to give it to the lightning rods.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it to lightning rods until he starts coming back on the program. I think that's where that's where I'm at. He can defend his decisions on the program. Until then, I'm going with his opponents. I think maybe. All right, moving down the line, we have Hackettstown. The Hagglers going against the Zamunda Lions already. So the original projection was 101.73 to 100.74. Excuse me. The current projection is 113.95 to 101.73 in favor of the Hagglers after a big performance by Kamara on the Thursday night game. Now, we could be in Thursday night curse territory, but definitely the kind of start you want to see.
Yeah, definitely. But that's clear curse numbers. Does that mean the rest of the team is not going to do shite?
I mean, well, what was the thing that I sent you? I mean, there was a ridiculous stat that about Kamara. So the Saints leaders in reception this season. So Chris Olave has 39. Alvin Kamara already has 35. He missed the first 2 weeks of the season. I mean, you know, he's certainly been good. I mean, you held out. You know, I mean, so what was your record in the first 3 games?
1-2.
Okay, so you got the 1 win, but then ever since Kamara's come back, you've been pretty much on fire. So you held, but you knew that you held out, and you knew you had to hunker down. So you at least got 1 out of the first 3. So that puts you where you are now, in a good position. Now Zamunda has been pretty terrible all season long, just barely eking out the win against Eugene. Now a loss to him. Now you played him in hockey too. He also took a game off.
Yeah, he took 2-1 game.
Yeah, so is this going to be? I mean, these are games that you should win in both sports. Is it going to take one off of you in both? I don't think so. I mean, let's look at the matchups though. So Josh Allen at New England. That's a good matchup there. Goff again at Baltimore. I don't know what did Goff do last week? He was pretty good last week.
I mean, Goff has been putting up the numbers.
Yeah, so you can't really fault him there. So Metcalf at Arizona.
Endless injuries. It's so annoying.
Hip and questionable.
I mean, he's got 13, 7. I mean, he's get double digit. He's fine. He just is always injured. I'm so sick and tired of his fucking injuries. And don't play. Go home. Go home and rest.
Right. Go in the O's. You can
go into the tent or the locker room. Just don't play then.
Yeah.
Palmer's been a big part of the offense since Mike Williams went out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping they start to pepper him a little bit, but it's obviously the Keenan Allen show.
So what's going on here with this Latavius Murray?
Well, Latavius Murray, we got Derrick Henry on a bye, so we had to plug in some loser.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, so I guess after watching
he is a total loser, and there was pure garbage in free agency. I mean,
you want to talk about pure garbage. On the other hand, he has Algier, so it's not like that's going to really whatever. I mean, Algier, other than the first week of Rocky.
Well, it's Bijan Robinson. That's the big guy there.
I know.
Robinson will get injured and he'll get all the carries.
I mean, maybe this matchup comes down to whose RB2 is more horrid. I mean, because these are both.
I mean, mine's pretty horrid.
So is his. I mean, yeah. This is. I mean, so I guess the question is, can Barkley match Kamara's numbers? That's going to be tough. So you got Waddle and Metcalf. I mean, that's a good. I mean, Waddle going against Philadelphia. I mean, that's a really good matchup for Nick right there. What's going on with Deontay Johnson? He's on the injured reserve. Has he been activated yet?
He's got returned.
Off the injury report was removed. Still on.
Need to be activated on Saturday. Tomorrow.
Yeah. So having cut ties with wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski or whatever. Okay. So okay. I guess he's playing. Look, I think he has the advantage with Waddle over your guys. I don't know about Deontay Johnson this week. I mean, maybe. I think you have the advantage over there. I don't know, slightly. You definitely already, because you've banked some points with Kamara, have the advantage there. Like I said, I think RB2s were a wash. Kittle at Minnesota on Monday night, and then you have Meyer at Chicago.
What has Oscar Meyer even done?
I don't even know. I mean, he got 12 last week. I mean,
nothing up until last week.
I think that. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean,
Michael Myers is going to be a nightmare for Nick.
Like what? I mean, he knows more about this is a Raider, so he knows more about him than I do. I don't know. Osborne versus San Francisco. So you're heavily invested in that Monday night. He's got Pickens going against the Rams. He's kind of invested with both wide receivers from Pittsburgh against the Rams. I don't know if that's a good move. I think I'm gonna go with. I mean, so many buys here, and so.
I mean, look at that list. I mean, there's nobody available.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, these are pretty much what you guys are going with. I think, given the circumstances here, I think, and the fact that Kamara has already banked the points, I'm gonna go with the edge with the Hagglers in this game. I think that there's enough here to win this.
I hope so. I'm going with the Hagglers as well. I mean, I'm going with myself. I don't know. The Thursday curse is a real thing that a lot of people don't pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing that would concern me about this game. But analytically,
I think Lightning Rod's got 49 out of DJ Moore and lost.
Yeah, I mean, is 29 that kind of? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Waddle is really one that you have to watch for, and you have to watch Barkley against Washington and see if he could get those kind of numbers back. But I mean, playing both receivers in the Pittsburgh game, and then is Kittle. I mean, I tend to think that Kittle is going to. I know he wasn't as involved in the offense last week, but I mean, like you got to figure, even if McCaffrey comes back or whatever, the practice this week must have been around the idea of Kittle because Debo, you don't know if you're going to have Debo. You don't know if you're going to have McCaffrey. So the game plan should be centered around Kittle, I would think, but I don't know.
I mean, his numbers have been questionable.
I mean, they happen. So we'll see. All right. But yes, I am going with the Hackettstown Anglers to win this game. And then moving on down the line, we're just gonna continue to
blatantly disrespect the fan, go right to his game.
I know, whatever, just go down the regular line. All right, so the current projection and the live projection is 108.07 to 103.56 in favor of Nick and Jamie. Can the Crush get a second win? I doubt it, but let's see. So we have Tua going against Philadelphia. I think that's a good matchup for him. You have is this Marquise Brown at Seattle? Tony versus the Chargers. That's a pretty good matchup over there. Decent at least. You got, I mean, he's very heavy Baltimore this year. He's been all year. So Jackson and Flowers going against Detroit. I happened to think last week that was going to be a good matchup for Tampa Bay because I thought that those are high-scoring games, but I was completely wrong on that. And, the receivers for Tampa Bay, who had been doing reasonably well, didn't do anything. I mean, this Detroit defense is pretty good. And by the way, he's playing the Detroit defense against his own receivers in that game. So he's extraordinarily heavily invested in that game on all sides. You got Addison versus San Francisco on Saturday night. You got Ramondre versus Buffalo. I don't think he's going to have as good a game in that one. He's playing Ford this week at Indianapolis. Mark Andrews, once again, another Baltimore guy there. And then Watson at Denver. So that's at least a good matchup there. For Nick and Jamie, Gibson against the Giants. I mean, he hasn't done anything either. Aaron Jones, what's going on with his little injury?
There's going to be another Jones doesn't play and they keep him in the lineup shenanigans.
I know. His list is questionable. Even the benefit of week 6 bye, Jones was listed as a limited practice.
This guy has been a bust.
This guy's been a bust, and it's really been hurting them because they end up not playing. They keep him in the line. I don't even know, but going against Denver, I mean, do they even have it? Let's see. Do they have anybody replace him in case Charbonnet? That's the thing. They've had to replace with Chardonnay all week long. I mean, and then everybody else is on a bye.
They're in trouble.
Kelsey against the Chargers, though, is good. Judy, man,
Judy hasn't done anything.
I am not impressed with this Nick and Jamie team. I mean, but they're so heavily Baltimore over here. And wasn't Baltimore in the London game last week?
Yep.
And then, I mean, when Buffalo came back from the London game, they were horrid too. I am going with Nick and Jamie. I think you can't play. You can't just travel to London, come back, and then it just doesn't work. I'm going with Nick and Jamie only because of that. Like on paper, I actually do think that the Crush has a better lineup somewhat this week. But I think that I think they're very reliant on a team that's going to be really jet lagged.
I mean, if Nick and Jamie don't spot them a player with Jones, that's their MO with Mr. Jones this season.
Yeah, but even when they spot them a player, they still win. And if they don't, I mean, playing Chardonnay is basically like spotting a player anyway. I'm going to go with Nick and Jamie.
Yeah, well,
so I wouldn't be surprised if Dave's Secret Crush wins here. He needs a win. Let's see. I mean,
I don't know. Tony doesn't impress me. Gibson doesn't impress me. They might get 0 from Jones, who's not even. Judy doesn't impress me.
No,
and then you go to the other side. There's a bunch of losers over there too. This is tough.
I know.
This is tough. This is truly a 1-5 versus 2-4 garbage match.
Yeah.
These players' lineups reflect their records.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Battle for the dumpster again.
I mean, because this could drag them down. This could drag Nick and Jamie down to the 2-5, right in the dumpster with them.
Yeah, he's trying to pull them in.
Can he pull somebody else in there with him, or can he keep lone possession of the worst record in the league? I don't know.
Either way, the results are not going to be good for somebody.
Well, where are you putting the results?
This is tough.
I know it's garbage.
This is truly tough. This is a
garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, that Baltimore name, that's a lot.
That's a lot of Baltimore.
But I rolled the dice in London. It worked out. So
I mean, ironically, I think the best play that might be the Detroit defense going against all of his players who are going to be jet lagged.
Yeah, so you pick a defense that's going up against 3 of your players?
Jackson, Flowers, and Andrews.
That's a bizarre move. I have to go with Nick and Jamie. Too much going on over there for Eugene.
Yeah.
If Nick and Jamie play Jones, I mean, I'd go with Nick and Jamie.
If Jones is playing.
Because if he's not, they're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need every point you can get out of this horrid matchup.
They don't even have somebody to put in there. I mean, all they have is Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And he clearly has not been a fine wine this season. What are Chardonnay's points? He's been horrendous. It's time to go shopping in the dumpster.
Yeah. He comes off as Chardonnay, but he really ends up being $2 Chuck. It's just 2-point Chuck. All right. Let's go down the line.
Schuster Smith on there too. Well, I haven't heard Schuster Smith all season for Nick and Jim. Why are they even keeping half of these players? Just throw them away.
I don't know. I mean, and he's keeping Sanders and Burks in the. I mean, is anybody even? Would they even go after these guys? Traylon Burks is that real? Like if
he's done nothing.
If he was
literally.
If he was not an IR,
he's literally done nothing.
Do you really need to keep him on your IR spot? I think you could probably safely store him
in the dumpster. Why would you want him to come back? Why would you want him to come back?
I don't think you do. I mean, the Dallas defense is the only thing that seems worth it to hold on to here. All right. Actually, let's skip this one game because I think it's pretty good. Let's go down to Clever Name Pending versus Primetime. All right. So this is actually a week where Primetime is on paper somewhat vulnerable, but let's see if that's actually true. And let's see. I mean, because if Clever Name Pending can get a win here, that is a huge statement.
Yes.
So right now, the original projection was 104.63 to 101.90. The current projection is a 50-50, 104.63 to 104.29. Now, hockey has not put in a kicker yet, But I mean, this is way closer than it has been in the past. There's a lot of buys for Dr. Hockey this week. Thielen's on a buy, Hubbard's on a buy. Well, there's not a lot of buys, but those are important players. Thielen's been pretty good. So, all right, let's take a look at this. So Carr already gets 19.44 points, which is way more than he's had from a lot of quarterback performance this year so far, going against Mahomes, who has been getting about that. I mean, like, this is a favorable matchup for him, but like, I don't know. You got Diggs at New England. That's a really good matchup right there, going against Tyreek Hill against Philadelphia. That's also a really good matchup between the two. So the wide receivers are going to be really good. Ayuk, who one would think would factor in with the injuries, though. I mean, did he really? I don't think that he did much in the absence. I mean, 11.6. Okay, yeah, he's all right. So he can do something there, but going on also against AJ Brown was also in that Philadelphia game. So Hockey is very reliant on that Philadelphia Miami game. You got Josh Jacobs against Chicago. That's a good matchup right there. Akers versus San Francisco. Akers hasn't done anything. Najee
I mean, does he have no other running backs? I mean, why would you put him in there?
Well, Breece Hall's on a bye.
That must be it. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah. But there's also like Zach Evans. He's the other one from the Rams. I mean, who knows what's going on with that mess? Oh, I guess this is the one they picked up because he needed him. I don't know if he does anything. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they have Royce Freeman, Darrell Henderson, and they just picked up Myles Gaskin. I mean, that Vikings running back situation is a mess. And they have Madison and now Akers. So that's 5 different people who could get the ball. I'm staying away from that mess.
Yeah, I don't know. All of this is a mess there at running back. I mean,
Najee, what's Najee done this season? He hasn't done shit.
I mean,
he's been
one game of 11.
Horrid.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. And then Kmet, I mean, he didn't do anything after Fields went down.
No.
9.
2.9.
Wan'Dale
Robinson, good luck with that guy.
And then, so you got Ertz, who's going against Seattle. Okay, but he hasn't really done anything either.
He hasn't done shit either. And Kyler Murray's kind of coming back, so he's just going to run the ball himself. And Nacua has fallen off the earth since Cooper Kupp.
I mean, it's a good favorable matchup in terms of the Pittsburgh, but yeah, I mean, Nacua, But then you got Wan'Dale over here. I mean, you've experienced the full.
Oh, he is terrible. I mean, that 14 points was a gift from the Bills.
Yeah. Man, I mean, this is a really good.
Butker might be one of Clever Name's highest scoring players.
He could be. He's been really good this season. Man, and then so what is he? And he's got the Rams versus Pittsburgh. That's actually a good defense right there. I don't know, man.
On paper, you can't pick against Hockey with his 150s and 170s.
At this point, I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think that Josh Jacobs might actually make somewhat of a difference here because he's the only running back that's got a pulse on either of these teams. I mean, and I think AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill in that game is, a lot. I mean, I will give all the credit in the world to Clever Name Pending if he wins this game. But I think even with a couple of buys, I still think that Hockey has the win, but it's tough. This is gonna be a tougher week for him than normal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm picking Hockey.
I'm going with Hockey, and yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to.
All right, which moves us to the last game of the week, which is Gronky Kong versus the Detroit Whalers. A matchup of 2-4 Gronky Kong versus the 3-3 Detroit Whalers. So the original projection was 116.58 to 105.02. The live projection is 121.73 to 105.02. Gets a great performance from Etienne and a decent performance from Ingram. Boosts it up a little, so that's already solidified some points there for the Whalers. He's currently a 65% favorite. So he's got Hurts going against Miami. That's a good game matchup right there. He's got Gronky Kong has Howell going against the Giants. Good matchup there for him. Although, I mean, Josh Allen didn't do anything against the Giants defense either, and these are two teams that definitely know each other. I don't know. Like on paper, it seemed the Giants defense is not what's most hard about them. It's their offense that's hard. So I don't know.
So you got Smith, Devontae Smith, who Whalers got from Gronky Kong, and then you have Pacheco going against Detroit, who Pacheco came from Whalers. So now they're playing their trades against each other.
Yeah, that's true, and they're both actually
you got Smith and White. Whalers got Smith and White from Gronky Kong, so he's unleashing them against the team that traded them to him.
True,
and Gronky Kong answers with, "Oh yeah, here's some Pacheco."
Which is a good matchup for Pacheco, by the way, I think, right? The Chargers are not particularly. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent matchup, and Pacheco's been really good. So, yeah. You got Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. So Devontae Adams going against Chicago. I know he had a weak game last week or the last 2 weeks, but I mean, really against Chicago, I would think. Maybe it's been an injury. I don't know. But he's cleared to play.
It's been a quarterback situation. It's a backup quarterback.
Yeah, but still, who's the quarterback now?
Some loser. I don't even know his name. No. So did they yank? Is CeeDee Lamb on a bye?
Yeah, Dallas.
Gotta be. I mean, you don't just bet CeeDee Lamb. The Lou Dobbs report.
Drake London going against Tampa Bay. I mean, you saw what Amon-Ra did last week. I mean, so I think that's a good matchup there. And Devontae Smith against Miami, I think also is a good matchup. I mean, look, these are two good wide receiver matchups right here. So you got Reynolds, Rapp going. It was questionable. What's going on there?
If he's questionable, they got nobody at running back.
Yeah, I know. So, man.
I don't know. Jahmyr Gibbs is cleared to return, I believe. So this could make Reynolds expendable. This could be a backfire move on Gronky Kong's part.
Who has Gibbs? Doesn't he have Gibbs? Somebody has Gibbs.
Eugene does.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know. That could be part of the problem. What has White done? He hasn't really done much either. Njoku.
He's no Njoku. Actually, he is.
Yeah, he kind of is.
And what has Javonte Williams done for Denver in the flex?
Nothing.
A lot of players not really doing anything. Is that the strategy? Just throw in mid-carders?
I mean, Dobbs has had good weeks. And
he's been horrendous.
He's been good and terrible.
Come and get your love.
Oh, God.
This is a bad situation for both teams.
Oh, man. This is... I think Whalers has a slight edge. Although, I don't know.
Once you get past, first of all, Howell's just a plug-in.
I feel like everything down from everything below Etienne and Pacheco is just horrid. And then you still have Debo sitting there. Is he going to play? Goddard is actually...
Oh, he took him out. He's not even risking it.
Yeah. I mean...
He had to, because if he doesn't play, there's nobody.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's a smart thing to do. He has a love sitting on his bench still. Oh, man. Even his tight end is out. He picked up Rashid Rice. I mean, like, he's got some injury problems, too. So here's the thing. I mean, like, I actually had Rice early in the season, or earlier in the week. I ended up dropping him. He ended up picking up, and I even mentioned this in the chat with him. But, like, they're bringing back Hardman. Like, is he going to I mean, he used to play with Mahomes. He's got a rapport with him. But is he going to just go in the first week? Because Rice has been good the last few weeks, but I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think that this matchup really comes down to, I'm going to say Devontae Adams and Drake London. How do those two perform? And Jalen Hurts, I mean, he has a chance for 2 firsts from Smith. I got to go with Whalers slightly. But it's a tough week.
This is another team that looks like they're 2-4. The Gronky Kong team. I mean, having another baby has clearly affected his scouting.
Oh, does he have a second one?
Yeah. So I think he's using the the Fantasy Football Times as diapers. Because he had really good intel last year.
Yeah,
Reading Fantasy Football Weekly. He was just ahead of everybody, but now he's must be low on cash, so he's using it as diapers.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in this team. I don't know. I think Whalers has enough firepower this week to win this game.
Yeah, and Etienne got above his projection, so yeah, there's some points to spare.
Yeah,
he's gonna need them for Williams and White.
Yeah.
But Gronky Kong, I mean, you're rolling with Reynolds Wrap, who might play second fiddle to Jahmyr Gibbs, which he's done to play second fiddle. No Njoku and the Lou Dobbs report. That team is a steaming pile of crap.
I mean, they do have good.
There's only so much Cooper Kupp can do.
Well, they have good defensive matchups. I mean, Vegas against Chicago and Buffalo against New England. I mean, they should get. I mean, the defenses might be some of the higher scores in this game, at least at the bottom half of the thing. I don't know, kind of tough, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Whalers.
Whalers too.
All right, so this is gonna be a tough week to pick lock of the week versus. I mean, because our normal lock is hockey, and I don't even know. I can't go with him as a lock this week, especially when it's 50-50. Which even though I think so, I'm gonna go upset of the week first. I'm gonna go with Clever Name Pending pulling the upset against Dr. Hockey just because it's so close. I don't think it'll actually come true, but I think that's why not. I'm gonna take a flyer on it. For my lock of the week, geez, this is a tough one. This is a tough one.
I don't know. Every game is up and back and forth. I mean, if everything holds up, I think the Hagglers can beat Nick.
I mean, your game might actually be the lock of the week only because it's the most locked. It's like you lock the door, but you still live in a crappy neighborhood. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Hagglers for my lock of the week, but yeah, there's just
a lot of low projections. I guess people haven't put in their other guys. I mean,
it's
cracking 100 for most teams.
No, there's a lot of buys this week that are affecting a lot of teams, and there's just garbage out in the free agent. There's not. I don't know. So, who do you got for your lock? Are you going with yourself?
I go myself against Nick if that holds up.
And what's your upset of the week? There's so many options you could go with. Frankly, any of these,
Upset is Clever Name Pending over Dr. Hockey.
Are you really?
That'll be the upset of the season.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess that's gonna do it for us this week. Good luck to everybody.
Good luck to everyone.
Yep. And until then, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Peace out.